In this episode, we'll be talking about Robert Nozick, a 20th century American philosopher who presented a famous thought experiment called the experience machine, which asks us if the good life is more than just maximizing pleasure. Find out more on From What We've Gathered with hosts Dani Nelson and Kylie Shahar.
In the land of teeter totters, I prefer a slide. Turbulent or gentle waters, let's go for a ride.
Hi, Kylie.
Hi, Dani.
I have a question for you.
Okay, shoot.
Okay, my question for you is about everyday pleasures.
Okay.
What are a few things that you feel like that are kind of on a daily basis that might contribute to the fact that you're experiencing the good life currently?
Without a doubt, morning coffee.
Oh my gosh.
My ritual, my morning ritual.
I really thought you were going to say waking up to the cats in your face.
That was going to be the next thing. I mean, yeah. It's like, I'll put it this way. Nothing brings me quite as much joy, but also back pain, right? Like the cat, at least one of the cats, wants to sleep in our bed, and I feel like I physically accommodate him in ways that are detrimental, and I would do it a million times over.
Because he wants that, and
Yes.
he needs to be in his spot. Yeah.
Right.
That is an interesting, I love that immediately you brought up something that is both pleasure and pain. It's like you can't even allow yourself something
It's
that
like
is
a
just
coin
on the
that has
pleasure
two
spectrum.
sides.
Yes.
Exactly.
So morning coffee.
Morning coffee.
I like that.
Kitty cats.
Kitty cats.
And also the fact that I live with and share a life with the person that I love most in this world. So
Dani Nelson. No. Your soon to be husband. Unfortunately, I don't wake up at this house.
I know, I was going to say the only thing that's missing is, but you know, there's a spare bedroom.
Yeah.
So
I think for
Come on
me, everyday pleasures, I really enjoy getting to live in such a state of reality that I can essentially have whatever food I'm in the mood for most of the time. I'm not saying it's
Totally.
like, oh, every single day I get to have sushi because I do love sushi. But at any given time, my life is such that I'm like, you know, it would be delicious, a fresh baked pastry.
yeah. But
I
you could get, if you wanted sushi, you can get it.
I could go get it.
You can go get it.
So having a life where I get to just like experience some form of the food I love.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't necessarily go and be like, what I really love is a chef-made foam in the flavor profile of Cool Ranch Doritos.
Ooh.
Those two things are so opposite of each
Yeah.
other because it's like a junk food, but plus
A foam.
flavored foam is such
crazy.
a like
Elite.
Michelin elite
Yeah.
kind of like the Epicurean kind of thing. So I'd say that I would agree with you being with my husband. Like that's just like an everyday pleasure that I get to be with someone I love. I have much nerdier ones though. Like I love math.
You are
I love arithmetic.
such
Specifically, I
a
love
nerd.
arithmetic.
Okay, just so you're aware, listener, Dani and I and other friends, we like to play, you know, dominoes.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason, I have a curse. There is a curse.
Mexican train specifically. Yeah.
You know, you have to get rid of all of your dominoes first. That's the goal. And those who have dominoes remaining after the winner gets rid of their dominoes, you have to add up all of the, you know,
The face value.
the face value of all the dominoes, and
Up to double 12s.
up to double 12s, and just a bunch. I have a curse. So anyway, long story short, I end up with like the most dominoes.
You really did.
It's like as people are putting their dominoes like on the board to get rid of them, I'm somehow acquiring more.
Yeah.
And so I end up with the most, and I don't like math, and I'm not a good, you know, mental math addition type person. So I've reinterpreted my curse as an opportunity to give Dani more attempts to
The way that
do
she
math.
has reinterpreted this curse also is because the literal joy on my face when I see people having a bunch of these dominoes, because I know they don't want to do the math, that I know that I'm going to get to do a bunch of mental math. Like, I actually get like ramped up joy.
Which is kind of to pour salt in the wound. Is kind of, do you see what I mean?
But also very peculiar to me.
Yes.
Which is the point where all
Yes.
human beings are completely different.
Yes.
They get pleasure from different things. This is the melting pot of pleasure.
Exactly.
That is the human experience. And the reason that we've asked these questions today, like, and something that we're going to propose to you guys within this series of The Good Life, is pleasure the most important thing in life?
Right.
Is pleasure what creates the good life? And we brought up these little things: the cup of coffee in the
Yeah.
morning, the accommodating your pet whom you love so much so you can wake up with them in your face. You know, like,
Yeah.
is that the most important thing in life?
Right. Well, so some people and some philosophers say yes.
Yep.
I mean, and it's perfectly understandable why, and it's a very attractive view that has come to be called, over a long course of time, hedonism.
Right.
Hedonism about well-being. So the question of, what does it mean to live a good life? The view that we call hedonism answers that question by saying, what it means to live a good life is to live a life full of pleasure and free of, for the most part, pain.
Right.
So pleasure is the sole or most important good that when you seek it and get it, you're living a good life.
Right.
And of course, as we just noted, as Dani just pointed out, and as was exemplified in this little opening scenario, we all get pleasure from a bunch of different stuff. So it's not that the view of hedonism is saying, here's this list of pleasurable
things. Yeah. Food, drink,
Right.
sex. That's pleasure,
It's like, for the most part, those things are on the list for all of us, right?
Yes, please.
Because we are this kind of creature,
Right.
this human being that needs food, that needs, sustenance, that needs sexual
Reproduction.
pleasure or reproduction.
Yeah.
And so, but what that looks like when you get to the next layer down or something like that can look very different for different folks.
Right.
Or you might think different kinds of activities or hobbies or experiences that might bring pleasure to one person may bring quite the opposite to another. So
Right.
It's like, even though we're saying on this view that we call hedonism about well-being, even though we're saying it's like pleasure is the fundamental or the ultimate good, how that gets cashed out from one person to the next can look very different.
Right.
But the point still stands that for every single human being, right, pleasure on this view is the sole or ultimate or chief good.
Yep. And I do want to add in too, because I think that it kind of is something when we talk about the good life, like oftentimes for me, separate from necessarily who we've discussed through this, freedom.
Yeah.
This idea of freedom is like really detrimental to me as a human being. But part of my studies in philosophy were speared by trying to understand, like, hey, I've said this my whole life and I actually understand it less and less as I get older, like what exactly it is. And oftentimes freedom is described as the absence of pain and the ability to seek pleasure, the ability to have an equal, prosperous life. And so to me, there's this whole thing with hedonism that also coincides with the kind of freedoms that we might talk about wanting,
For sure.
even as a kind of bigger thought kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so hedonism, we also talked about a little bit if you guys want to go back in the Epicurus episode. So if you want to go back and listen to that a little bit, then you can. We are going to take this discussion of pleasure, and if that is the most important thing, and we're going to utilize it as a way to introduce you guys to thought experiments. And like a big part of the world of philosophy and being able to discuss ethical and moral ideas is through thought experiments where you take these sort of fantastical scenarios and then you apply your own ideas, different philosophers' ideas, and you try and take these ideas into whatever direction allows you to explore those kind of ethical, the extent of like where ethics falls in the human
Yeah.
ability to rationalize.
It's like, right, these really elaborate scenarios where you must suspend
all disbelief.
Because often these are scenarios that are likely to never actually take place. They will often defy physical laws, you know. And so you're supposed to suspend disbelief about this so that you can kind of play in this thought or imaginary space or this conceptual space and pump your intuition about certain moral questions or ethical questions or, questions about
metaphysical. What is our reality
Exactly.
if it's not this? Yep. What we're going to talk about today is Robert Nozick's experience machine. But if you want to think about other famous thought experiments, the trolley problem is very famous, which is the idea like if you had to flip the switch to save one person or 5 people on a railroad track, what would you do? And then you layer that on. But I would say even older and generally known, especially in anyone who knows anything about philosophy, the cave, Plato's scenario of the cave and the discussion of Socrates within the that is a thought experiment. Is it better to be in a world where you're only seeing the reflections of things, or is it better to leave the safety of the cave and see what the real world has to offer? And to me, this is just a modernization of that idea, like the experience machine.
For sure.
So Robert Nozick, born in 1938, he died in 2002. So very modern philosopher, American guy. He went to Columbia, Princeton, Oxford, like just all of the craziest universities. And then he was a professor at Harvard. I don't know if you've heard of Harvard.
No, where is it?
Does anybody go there?
What, like it's hard?
Yeah, probably not. Hey, if what is her name?
Elle Woods.
If Elle Woods can go, anyone can go. No, that's good. I love Elle Woods so much. So one thing about Robert, so obviously this is someone who is heavily involved in the academic world and also is really kind of looking at a lot of these ideas in ways that are genius level perspectives. What he is mostly known for, though, is libertarian thought. Like, he is someone who is, like, very famous in that world. And that has a lot to do with a philosophy book that he published called Anarchy, State, and Utopia. And that's where the experience machine comes out of. But also part of that, those writings is the discussion for him is what's called the minimal state. He thinks that the perfect government would be one of minimal state, meaning the only job of the government is to have a police, military, court system that enacts our contractual rights. So we go into contracts essentially with each other, with this other citizens, with corporations, with whatever. And the job of the so-called government is to ensure that those contracts are kept to and that you are not harmed from them. Yeah.
It's basically like, think of, I don't know, the government is nothing more than just a legal system.
Right.
Right.
They're not doing road work. They're not organizing schools.
They're not interested in welfare.
They're not welfare. Their only job
is enforcement of, in some ways, contracts.
Yeah. So that you can read up on more. We're not going to go into the minimal state, but as far as like knowing who Nozick is, that is a huge part of his kind of popularity and knowledge, and is very interesting because if you want to look at the government in ways that the possibility of a modern government that's not the way that we currently have it. It's a fun way to kind of just like erase the whole whiteboard and start anew. That's not monarchy, not theocracy, you know, it's very modern ideas. So Robert Nozick in this book brings the experience machine. It is the Matrix.
Basically. Spoiler alert.
For all of us that were millennial or Gen X, and there's no way that you are unaware of the Matrix.
Exactly.
Like, it just is so pervasive in
impossible.
our society.
Yes.
And if you don't, please comment.
Out yourself.
You listen to this. Text me, because I probably know you if you're listening to this. But in this thought, so in this thought experiment, the idea is it's a little bit the opposite of the Matrix, which is that you as a human being go into the experience machine office. You make up whatever you want your experience to be. Like whatever it is, whatever your dreams, whatever you think the perfect good life is. You've come into an agreement with them. They know what your personality is like. You've done all the psych testing. They know all your chemical balances. So if you're like, you know, you're choosing every nuance of the good life. And then you're plugging into a machine and they are facilitating that. So when you're signing up for the experience machine, you are saying the pleasures that I receive by ensuring that I only live a pleasurable life are more valuable than whatever the real world has to offer you. And so that's the kind of...
Right. Like, it's like... Also, there's like a thing. Right. It's like the opportunity that you're presented with is one in which you get to decide whether you want to enter like this machine, this contraption. Think of it like a tanning bed, right? Like you're about to get in.
Yep.
You're making the choice as to whether or not to get into this tanning bed-like machine where electrodes will be connected to your brain, your heart, your pulse, maybe your toes. I don't know.
They'll keep everything healthy. They're pumping in the nutrients.
Your physical body will be sustained to an adequate degree, but you in this tanning bed-like machine covered in electrodes all over your body, you will no longer be walking and talking and living in this reality, but instead you will now exist suspended in this tank, floating in goo with electrodes all over your body, stimulating your brain such that from within your mind, your experience of reality, of this now simulated reality, is indistinguishable from actual reality, where you are out there walking and talking. You no longer are. You're horizontal in a tanning bed, suspended in goo, covered in electrodes. But from within this experience, your reality is indistinguishable from actual reality. And what's even better is that you've pre-programmed your entire life. Well, in the first version, it's like for 2 years, but whatever. You've pre-programmed your life to have all of the experiences that you wish to have, and perhaps even a list of things that you wish to avoid. And maybe it's all completely prefabricated. Maybe you even sort of program it so that there's a little bit of randomness for whatever reason, maybe from the outside looking into the idea of this simulated reality. What you're going to really want is some element of randomness. And so guess what? You can program that in, right? And so from within the experience machine, your reality is indistinguishable, A. B, you've pre-programmed it to be such that you live the best life. I mean, according to what from the outside you wanted for yourself, you live a life in which pleasure is abound. There's no pain. Or if you wanted to pre-program there being some struggle, guess what? You can have that too. And C, you have no memory from within the experience machine. You have no memory at all whatsoever that there was any reality other than this one that you are experiencing. So you don't know that, quote unquote, outside you has put you in this situation, right? Okay. And so that sounds pretty attractive, much in the same way that hedonism as a view about well-being sounds pretty attractive, because it's like, yeah, it just makes sense.
Yeah,
that
why
pleasure
can't I
is
just
good.
have pleasure all day, every day?
And like where those pleasures can be like drinking cups of coffee and chilling with your cats and living with the person that you love and doing arithmetic and like painting right? Like it doesn't have, or it can be like I win an Olympic gold medal or whatever it is. It can run the gamut from all these things.
Yep. I could be in the NFL. It is.
Like imagine you're so short that I am very short. I would never have made it. And I didn't make it past second grade basketball. Okay. But like, imagine my dream was to be be a professional basketball player.
Yeah.
Being 5'2". I mean, maybe there's some short point guards.
This is short point, like a pleasure world where you're making the world for your current height might include not you being taller, but that everything in the world is made shorter. That it's for the cabinets are never taller than your reach.
Speaking to my heart. You can do that, right? And
you can do that in the experience machine.
So it's like, okay, all right. This seems pretty, again, it's a thought experiment. This is not actually, but from within the perspective of this thought experiment, this sounds pretty awesome. I mean, it sounds like there's no immediate, but we can talk about and think about what that might look like. There's no immediate, quote unquote, downside.
Right.
If pleasure is what matters most to living a good life, and you have the opportunity to do just that, to live a life of pleasure, free of pain, where you can achieve the great things that you've always wanted to achieve.
Italian Riviera, you're just living you live on a sailboat, whatever.
You eat all the best food, you drink all the best wine, you never get a hangover.
You never get a hangover. You're immune to hangovers.
You're immune to hangovers.
You're a supermodel.
You are a bajillionaire.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about economics.
You live a very comfortable.
You live a very comfortable life. You're of the owner class.
You don't have any of the food allergies that you have in reality.
No food allergies, no animal allergies. All of this.
No pollen allergies.
No pollen. Yeah, you're not having that.
There's no dust. You live in a world with no dust.
You just don't even know there ever was dust.
You have no knowledge of dust.
Like, that's not happening. This all sounds great.
Yeah.
I love the experience machine. Why wouldn't you do the experience machine? Why wouldn't you?
Dani, why wouldn't you do the experience machine?
Okay. One reason I might not do the experience machine is because if everything is pleasure, like, and let's say that I want one of Nozick's top things that he said is about writing a great novel, like the great American novel. He uses this example. And, there's a part of it that because I am programming the machine, there is no reality outside the machine, right? So to me, I'm like, how would I possibly write the great American novel without having experienced any sort of strife? Like, what am I writing? I'm just writing about the same pleasant day that everybody has, doing arithmetic and no dust being around. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have experienced anything to then be able to write that novel.
Right. From the perspective of being outside of the experience machine,
right,
and knowing all of this, knowing that what comes with perhaps producing a great work of literature or art often is some element of difficulty or struggle, not saying like, the sort of, the struggling artist or something like that.
Right.
But like experiencing the complicated world for what it is and being able to engage with that and sustain it in your writing or whatever it is. The good news about the experience machine is that you can, in fact, from outside,
Right.
program what will be your simulated reality to contain all of the challenges that you might think you would face in trying to produce a great work of art and trying to have it published and being turned away from publishing houses again and again and again until ultimately you finally get it. And so that victory feels so much sweeter because you really worked for it, except from within the experience machine, although you don't know it, you didn't actually do anything.
You didn't do anything.
So like
You didn't struggle.
you didn't actually struggle, even if from within it is indistinguishable from reality and you feel like you struggled.
Yeah.
Really, in reality, underline reality, bold reality, in reality, you're laying in a tank of goo covered in electrodes.
And you didn't even write the novel. What you did was the machine analyzed enough of who you are and your being to write a novel for you. And I think this is more, we can understand this better than ever because of ChatGPT and AI.
Yeah.
Like, we've just uploaded everything that exists that might seem good to your outside reality. So real reality, you. It's analyzed that and been like, I know what's going to be the great American novel as far as your brain chemistry
Yeah.
approves.
Yeah.
But once you're in the machine,
Yeah, exactly.
you think you are writing it.
Yes.
You didn't write it.
Yeah.
You didn't write the great American novel.
And so I think for a lot of people, this is precisely the point in what the thought experiment of the experience machine is getting us to appreciate. The fact that maybe there are things that matter at least just as much, maybe if not more, to us than pleasure. It's not just pleasure that matters, but something like reality. Reality matters to us more than just the idea of a life filled with pleasure, even if that pleasure contains some parallel pains baked in to make it seem, to make the wins feel even sweeter. Like, even if you have that composed, manufactured life, from the outside, it seems like reality, things being real, actually writing something, actually having human relationships, actually having real human friends and family members around you, seems like it matters more to us than having a fake simulated version of this that just happens to be pleasurable on the whole. And so it's like part of the thought experiment is not really just contrasting these two, call them realities. It's not just about contrasting real existence, here we are, versus the simulated version of it.
Right.
Like there's things to be said about that contrast. Really what we're asked to think about is this vantage point where you're, I don't know, imagine you're sitting at the desk
choosing what your life is going to be
and choosing whether or not to plug in, right? So like you're sitting there, you know, in the experience machine office, and the sales rep pushes the contract in your direction and you have the pen in your hand and you are deciding whether or not to plug into the experience machine. Like that vantage point is the really important moment where these two so-called existences collide. You're sitting in reality, deciding whether or not you want to give this up for the sake of pleasure.
Just pleasure.
Just pleasure.
So one of the kind of ways that we wanted to look at this, and we're trying to be very sensitive because as we've talked about before, it's hard to talk about religion when we're not religious, or talk about motherhood when we're not mothers, because we want to respect the boundaries of something that we're not really a part of those world. But I do think it's something that to be brought into this conversation, because I do think that something like motherhood is not something the experience machine could ever really provide for someone.
Yeah.
Because if you view the purpose of motherhood as partially as reproducing,
Right.
like I'm making a person, they are carrying on my name,
legacy.
my legacy. I'm handing things down to them. The experience machine is not going to provide you that because that is a
simulation.
It's a simulation that you've made up. So when you pass away, the existence of that being is gone.
Right.
Because we could kind of play with, is AI a being? You know what I mean? Like it's that idea. Is a being that you're created within this thought experiment. Maybe they are a being, but because of the experience machine, it's only attached to you.
Yeah.
If when we're looking at religion, if one of the thing that we're looking at with religion is that the pinnacle of your religious life is you get to connect with God. Your death is a rejoining with God. Different religions believe at different times, whatever. But the experience machine is not going to allow for that. You didn't do all of the labor or whatever to conjoin, to live the life supposedly that provides you with this connection.
Yeah.
So I understand. But these are examples of like, you're in that office and you're making these choices. Part of making that choice is, what is reality's worth? Like, what are these things that you're choosing for yourself as pleasurable?
Right.
Do they actually have the end result that is what makes them pleasurable?
Yeah.
Like if the pleasure in being a mother is having a child.
Yeah.
And again, there's lots of things that we could go. Same with, I'm using mother, but same with fathers. Sorry, dads. So those things are things that when we talk about hedonism or pleasure and the experience machine, when we talk about things that outside of pleasure that have value, oftentimes these things that have the largest value scale are things that are connected with hard work, pain, sacrifice, giving yourself unto other belief systems, like allowing someone like a priest or to make decisions for you.
Right. Which brings up to like interpersonal relationships.
Yes.
Like those which ties both with sometimes pain and work, right? Because for some relationships that maybe are fraught but still important to you, you have to put in a lot of work to nurture those. But it's also the case that the fact that we do this is meaningful for a number of reasons, but part of what's so important about these interpersonal relationships, friends, family, etc., is the other person.
Right.
Not just the idea or the simulation or the experience of the other person, but the actual other flesh and blood person.
Right.
Which obviously cannot entirely be recreated in an experience machine. What you would have there is only ever a simulated, false, fake, mind-only idea of another person, not the actual other person.
Like you might be able to experience being a good friend, but you will never experience having a good friend.
Yeah.
Because you are alone.
Right. You're floating in a tank of goo.
You're floating in a tank of goo.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
And even Robert Nozick makes this case that people actually, they don't just want to seem like a good friend. They actually want to be a good friend, sister, mom, whatever.
Yeah.
That seeming is not where the magic is.
Right, exactly.
Well, he doesn't use magic.
We use magic.
This serious philosopher is not like, isn't it zany when your friend tells a good joke? And I'm like, that's where the stuff is. That's where the thing is. And so there's lots of ways to go with this thought experiment where you're like, okay, what if you have a terminal illness?
Right.
You get to live out your days
Right.
Like without this, because that the pain that might go
pain,
with something
right.
like that
Yeah.
is not everyday pain.
Right.
This is exceptional
Yeah.
pain.
Right.
If you have, if what you love, you want to be a zoologist so freaking bad, but you're allergic to dander.
Oh,
Maybe
heartbreaking.
there's a case to say
Right.
like the reality does not provide for a life that
Right.
I will ever find any pleasure in.
right. Right.
You know, you want to be a chef
Yeah.
and your taste buds are faulty, or
Oh, yeah.
you can't make the foam. You're like, I'm going in the machine.
Foam.
I can't make Doritos foam.
Cool Ranch Dorito foam. Yeah, exactly. No,
You're like,
exactly.
first of all, let's talk about why Cool Ranch and not nacho cheese. Like, why?
No, Cool Ranch all the way. Are you serious?
Don't talk to Lee if he hates Cool Ranch.
What?
Oh my God, I know.
That's crazy.
It's the worst. And that's why I'm going in the experience machine. It's to just reprogram my husband,
Everything's
specifically
the
how he
same.
is.
Everything about everything is exactly the same. The only change you make is that your husband now prefers Cool Ranch Doritos over
You know,
nacho cheese.
this is the sort of thing that the experience machine is for,
Yeah.
as a thought experiment.
Thank God we can't actually
And
do
speaking of my husband, there's nothing he hates more than a thought experiment.
Yeah.
He does not like questions that have no answer. And
Yeah.
the biggest thing about thought experiments is that they are not.
Yeah.
2,000 years later, you can still be discussing if it's valuable to stay in the cave on purpose. Here's another little thing to twist the knob up a little bit. All right, you ready for this, Kylie? This
I
is
don't know if I
another
am.
scenario.
Uh-oh.
Different scenario. End of episode
I'm
scenario.
having like a Groundhog Day about scenarios right now.
What if right now, in this moment, somebody walked through that door with a clipboard and was like, "Excuse me, I'm so sorry to inform you," or not sorry because they're not sorry.
Because they're not sorry.
I'm here to inform you that you are actually in a machine.
Oh.
Your reality self signed you up for this, but there's in the real world some legislation has passed, and we actually need you to sign off on staying inside.
Oh,
of
that's
the-
interesting. So here I am. I find myself in the experience machine world right
Fake
now.
you.
This is
Bubble,
I am fake me.
Yep, bubble you.
I had no idea up until this very moment where here's what I find very interesting. The state legislation has now made it such that the simulated versions need to give their consent.
Yes,
That's cool.
because
cool.
you've essentially severanced yourself.
Yeah. So, okay, so the person walks in with a clipboard saying, I'm here to inform you that you're living in the experience machine and we need, given the new legislation, we need you to sign this form to remain here or abort mission and
you
go
get
back
to go to reality. But I can't tell you anything about reality because of your
So this is the
previous
reverse. Okay.
assignment. I can't tell you anything about reality,
Oh, man.
but other than that, it's real
Yeah.
and that you are, in fact,
A simulation.
a simulation.
Ooh.
It is your choice. And you will be the same age. Let's just
Yeah.
pretend again, because we get to pretend whatever we want. You're the same age.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
not going to go out and be
Yeah.
100 years old.
Okay.
And then you just immediately fall over and die.
The
You're saying
Demi Moore in the substance.
you're your same age and nothing's going to change. You don't get to be younger.
Okay.
The goo hasn't preserved you.
Oh, I see. You can
You
just
still
cellular
age.
turnover. Okay.
You still age the same.
I'm signing that paper.
Just stay.
I'm consenting to stay.
Yeah.
If I found out today that I'm in the I will stay.
You would still be like, there's no way that reality is
Well, I don't
better.
know. I have no idea. Well, surely if she set me up for this, surely things weren't going so well out there. Who knows?
Ooh.
I don't know. That would be the first inference that I would try to make.
Yep.
But I guess because this is not the vantage point or the moment of choice to decide whether to enter, but rather to exit, I think that changes my intuition quite radically. I mean, I think from so-called the inside, here I am. I've figured out that I'm on the inside here. I like my life. Like, I mean, obviously, like many people, there are surely a lot of other things that could go differently or better, or that I would change if I could. So maybe my
Short
my
shelves.
Audi, my short shelves, my Audi out there didn't do such a great job of programming this, or maybe she did, and I have to wait to see
Yep.
what else is going to happen. But I like my, like, what if you're not out there?
Oh my gosh, what if I'm not out there?
I don't want to go.
And you only made up, what if you only
What
came
if
in
you
here to
only
make
exist?
me up?
Oh my God.
You were like, I need a friend who'll do a podcast with me. And you made me up.
This is all sounding like a little too real. I'm scared now.
If that's the case, I really need a lot more baked goods from you. If you only made me up.
I'm on it. Yeah, right. Seriously. I have some form of payment here.
Yeah. So I think that I'm in the same boat. I really like my life.
Yeah.
And if this is what was made up for me, I'm kind of like, good
Cool.
job.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is nice.
And
could I have more?
right. Sure.
I guess.
Sure.
But I live in a
Yeah.
state of kind of a lot of choices that I've been happy with.
Yeah,
I know
totally.
not everyone is that.
Yeah,
like we
exactly.
brought up that
Yeah. But I
some
think-
people want to be good at math.
Yeah.
And then they're not.
Right.
And then they can't be an architect.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what they wanted was to
Yeah.
build buildings.
Yeah. But then again, but here's the kind of, I don't know, really insightful maybe point of all of this. I mean, one important point of all this is it's like, if you found out today that you're living in a simulation, I don't think anybody would just stop trying. You wouldn't stop trying. You wouldn't stop trying to improve your situation or make choices that you feel are in alignment with who you are, or make changes because you don't like the way things are going. It's like you would still do those things. And that just is the point, right? It's don't wait for the so-called good life. Don't wait for, it's not like an arc that eventually you're going to get there, or eventually you'll just be in a blissed out state free of pain and just kind of immersed in all the pleasure of both higher level intellectual pleasures and lower level carnal base. It's not like that's the whole goal.
I
but
love
it's
a carnal pleasure.
You just make the choices within the
Reality
that you're in, and not everything is going to go according to a plan, because maybe not always,
Right. And that is like you're saying, this is the whole idea. Okay, fine. Now I know this is fake. What am I going to, what do I do differently?
right.
And why aren't I just doing that differently anyway?
Just do it anyway.
Just do it anyway.
exactly.
Let's just treat it as
Yeah.
if we are in
Yeah.
the experience
Why not?
machine at any given time.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it doesn't change physical law.
Exactly. What it allows you to do is sort of turn inward and think about these questions, what is it that matters most to me? If it's what matters most to me is becoming an architect, but I'm really, really crummy at math and arithmetic and geometry, you have at the very least, you have two choices. You try to get better at math and geometry and you take some class, YouTube, man, I don't know. Or you give up that dream and you replace it with something else, because it's a great big world and there's lots of stuff, right?
There's so much things. There's so much arithmetic you could just be doing anytime you're walking around. Trust me, I know.
You I'm concerned.
You can be multiplying and
Oh my
dividing
God.
all day, all day.
But you could do that.
Yeah.
And you could then really just sort of, sit down and reflect, what is it that matters? Is it pleasure that matters most to me? Or is that just one crucial, no doubt, ingredient to what it looks like to live a good life? But then another one is reality. And this might be it, Who knows? Maybe it's not. But we should treat it as such, right? And we should think about, our relationship to other people in this world, whether of, your friends, family, community, global community, blah, blah, blah. And think about, what is it that matters most to you? If it isn't pleasure, that is the only thing that matters, right? However you derive it, that's the only thing that matters, then maybe the experience machine is for you. But if your intuition pumps you in such a direction, where you're like, oh, I'm like a little bit skeptical of it from that vantage point, plugging into the machine, then all that might mean is that there are other values, that matter just as well as pleasure.
Yeah. There are things in the world that are.
And I wanted to bring up, so we talked about the so-called blip in the matrix where the person comes out and informs you that your reality is not as it seems, which is a really interesting thought. Here's one sort of final, I guess, thought on this point, of bringing it kind of into current present times, and not really something to draw a full-fledged conclusion from, but to sort of chew on, is whether social media as we know it today is a kind of analog. There's a kind of an analogy, it's not perfect, with the experience machine, where our online lives or profiles, and especially I'm thinking about, the group of people who have turned social media into a kind of career by, content creation, being an influencer. Some influencers are like lifestyle influencers, where they're like, in a day in the life, or see what I do in a day, or whatever it is. And maybe it's possible that for some of these folks, and for many folks on social media, creating an online persona, that's not really who you are. That's not really mapping on to your lived experience in reality. It's something that you're creating. It's a facade or an appearance to present to the rest of the world so that you are seen in a particular way, to get this kind of reputation or praise or, whatever that you so desire. And how, if at all, is that detrimental to one's kind of lived experiences, that you kind of have this split consciousness, you're existing as this one type of person in your day to day, but online, and to in some cases, maybe hundreds of thousands of people observing you, you are this other kind of consciousness in a way.
Yeah, you're projecting a entirely different world. And this is different than before with just maybe fictional writing and things like that, because oftentimes this is being presented as their life, as the person's life.
Yeah.
It is a very interesting. So, for this,
what do you think about that?
Yeah. For applied philosophy, you can think about the experience machine and what would make you either sign up for it or not sign up for it. Or you can also think about, how are you already interacting with the experience machine through the person? Do you only show the world when you're having your best days? Right. Are you this is our vacation? This is which I also like from my friends and family. This is how I keep up with things. Yeah. But that's different than seeking it on a level where you have millions of people looking at you.
Totally. And
you're trying to present something. You're not just recording what's happening. Exactly. And also, that's part of the weird part of the so-called way that this is the experience machine, is because there's almost no way to tell once you're in the middle of that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's hard to know
for sure
who you are separate from that anymore.
Yeah. Which is kind of a scarier thing than just being suspended in goo and not really knowing that this is fake, right? It's it starts to, the hyper curation of this online existence can then start to muddle your own mind about who you are and what matters to you. Yeah. And that seems troubling in a way that, I don't know, being suspended in goo covered in electrodes is less troubling.
Well, because it's so hyper fictional. That it is never, it's so fantastical. Yeah. This is not going to be reality. Totally. And what we're relating it to is actual reality. Yeah. And the fact that, life is a mysterious goo.
It really is.
We're done.
Life is a mysterious goo.
Do, 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 do.
From What We Gathered is brought to you with gratitude by Tyler Olson, our sound producer, editor, performance wrangler, Dani Nelson, co-host and producer, and me, co-host Kylie Shahar. A special thanks to Sam Fisher for our music, and thank you to those from whom we've gathered, our teachers, scholars, historians, lovers of wisdom, the internet, and of course, thank you, our listeners.